I think we also need to talk about Archie because
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit different for him at Indiana. Like it's clear that he has not gotten this thing rolling.
Right.
It's also clear that the expectation of Indiana fans to have someone come in and boom, flip that thing immediately. It's what drove Tom Crean out, and eventually, it's probably going to be what drives Archie Miller out.
It's funny because I made excuses for Arch, and I thought they were valid early on. Like first couple of years, I thought Crean left him with jack shit, and then he had some injuries. So they're 16 and 15 the first year, they're 19 and 16 the second year, and they're under 500 the second year in league play. And I'm like, all right, listen, settle down, he'll get it going. And they haven't really been able to. I thought they maybe get over the hump this year. They bring in the kid Christian Lander with high expectations. He's not ready. He was classified as a point guard, and he's not ready. And I think everybody thought he'd be the difference maker because you have one of the better bigs in the country in Trace Jackson Davis. Fantasy's always hurt, it feels like. Franklin's hurt now. Their margin for error is so small, especially in this year's Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
Like everything has to go perfect for them, and it hasn't. And that, again, that's no excuse. I think Archie Miller would be the first one to tell you we should be better than we are right now. We should be better. The program should be in a better state than it is right now. I still wouldn't give up on Archie Miller as the coach at Indiana. I don't know who you're bringing in that's going to be able to do better. It's been a long time since, they had a couple blips with Tom Crean, but other than that, they weren't very relevant nationally. Again, you're not getting Brad Stevens. You're not getting Chris Beard to come to Indiana. Who are you getting that's going to be better than Archie Miller? I don't know. And the other thing I think, I never thought this job fit Arch great. Now, again, that's not to say I think he's a hell of a coach, and he proved that at Dayton. But I felt like in Ohio State, it was a better job, and I really feel like that was the one he kind of wanted. And it opened right after he took Indiana. If you remember, that's when Gene Smith and Thad Matta parted ways, and they hired Holtman. Archie had been an assistant at Ohio State. It kind of fits him a little bit more. Like Indiana, you're in that fishbowl.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not Archie. It's kind of same thing with Sean at Arizona. Ohio State, he'd rather be the second kind of fiddle and just coach. Like that's what the Millers want to do, is just coach ball.
Yeah, and I think he's also had a little bit of, what's the best way to phrase it? It's a little bit like Shock in the sense where he keeps getting guys and they keep ending up leaving a year earlier. It's hard to build, like we mentioned with Hop, it's hard to build a program and build a culture and build that level of consistency when you bring in like Romeo Langford and he's gone in a year after being banged up the whole time. Or, you finally...
everybody and their mother knew that Romeo Langford.
Yeah, no, I know, but it doesn't make it any easier when you're trying to build something.
Yep.
And you bring in this star and you build your offense around the star for a year, and then he's gone. Like that's not an easy thing to do. And like we saw, like Shaka had trouble with it at Texas too. And he finally had a chance where he got some continuity. He's got an old backcourt, and he's got all these veterans, and he surrounded them with a couple of really young, talented guys. And boom, Texas is a top 5 team, right? Like I'm not saying that there's a guarantee that Archie will turn Indiana to a top 5 team, but like in an era where everybody is trying to get old and stay old, he had to bring in a 17-year-old point guard that reclassified to try and solve his issues at the point guard spot. Like that should tell that sums everything up that's going on with Indiana right there.
Yeah, and the expectation great as your first guard off the bench. Rob Finney would be great if they had a high level point guard right now. To me, Indiana would have 2 more wins. You wouldn't even be talking about this.
And it's not just like it's the 3-point shooting too. Like other than Armand Franklin, they don't really have anybody that can make a shot. And Archie is just. It seems like he's kind of insistent on playing Race Thompson and Trace Jackson Davis together, and you just
today's day and age, that's not what you want to be doing. But again, like you said, you're shooting 32% as a team from 3. What do you do? I'll
tell you,
can't make shots.
Yes, I think you have to go out and recruit some people in the state of Indiana to make some shots. Like it's the same thing we're talking about with Kentucky. Like sh- shooting should not ever really be an issue for you. You know, there could be guys that you bring on the floor that maybe aren't great at other things, but there should always be options that can make shots. Like you shouldn't like it's in this day and age when
Look
you
at
know
Corey
you have
Kispert. Look at
yeah.
Corey Kispert, right? They recruited him as a shooter.
Mhm.
Shooter. He's gotten better at everything else, right? I mean, he can put the ball on the floor now. He can guard. He's tough as shit. But, like, he had size and could shoot the ball. You're telling me Kentucky or Indiana wouldn't love to have Corey Kispert right now?
Well, I mean, here's the proof, right? Duncan Robinson. Duncan Robinson has become one of the most dangerous weapons in the NBA because of his ability to sprint off screens and the way that he it's all right. So hold on, let me recycle. We talk about how Cade Cunningham's passing manipulates defenses because of the threat of it, right? And how there's no shooting and that limits it. The thing about Duncan Robinson is when he runs off of a screen, that manipulates defenses too. It's the gravity that a shooter has. It's the threat of the fact that he makes the shot that forces a defense to have to adjust and to have to move and to have to be manipulated and to get knocked out of position. And then that is what opens things up for like one of the best low post scorers in college basketball. Like the biggest issue that Indiana has is that Trace Jackson Davis is awesome.
Yep.
But when there's 19 guys in the paint around him, like what do you want him to do? He's not a guy that's stepping out on the perimeter. He's the throwback, back to the basket, old school, low post bucket getter. And you got to have space for him. You got to be able to create that space for him to operate. And that's the biggest issue they face. So again, the thing that I keep going back to and I keep struggling to criticize Archie too much for, and to a point he's kind of put himself in this position with who he has and hasn't gotten, but they don't have a point guard. They had to go out and get a point guard. They got a 5-star to reclassify who everybody knew wasn't going to be ready. People ate that up as, okay, we got this 5-star because a 5-star is a 5-star and every 5-star is the same as John Wall or Derrick Rose, which it's not. And he comes in and this kid is not ready, which we all expected. And the 17-year-old point guard is in an era where everybody's trying to get older, was supposed to be the savior, and he's not. And now people are freaking out about it. So
what do you do if you're the AD at both schools, at Washington and Indiana right now? I would keep Archie Miller for sure for another year. And I just think, again, even at Washington, I would probably have him make some staff changes at this point.
With Hop's a little tougher. Like,
sure,
I kind of want to see. I want to see how the season ends. Like, to me, it's very hard to criticize someone in that situation, given what we're going through in the country right now. Like, they lost Naz Carter because of everything that was happening there. We don't know what's going on within the locker room based off of everything that's happened. I guess there was a rape allegation, sexual assault allegation with Naz Carter. And I can't remember if he was kicked out of school or if he just left school or what it was.
Yeah,
but
he was asked to leave. He was asked to leave.
It's not a great situation. So I would see how the season ends with Hop, and if like they're improving and they're getting better, then I give them another chance. Like I think it's just it's tough in the middle of what we're going through as a country.
And she hired him, so to me, she's got to justify bringing a guy 3,000 miles away. And again, everybody lauded the hire. Everybody. I mean, everybody. So work.
So I think you give him one more year, and with Archie, my big thing is like, if you fire him, you're just going to flush more buyout money down the drain. You're going to have to go pay for another coach. Right. And unless you like have the guy that's going to solve all your problems, like, I don't know, like who are you going to go after? Like, is Eric Musselman going to be the answer at Indiana? No. Like, no. I mean,
Porter Moser?
No.
Like,
you can get an alum like a Dane Fife or someone like that. But
they're again, like, to me, you got to give him one more because of what he inherited. To me, you got to give him one more, and with everything that's kind of gone wrong. And again, listen, he deserves part of the blame for it, no doubt. But I would certainly give him one more. Remember, they were going to make the tournament last year. They were probably going to make it. So, is making it good enough for Indiana fans? No, I get it. They want second weekend and then Final Four. I understand that, but Yeah.
The last thing I will say about this, and I thought Rafael Davis he hosts the Boiler Up podcast for us. He was on live with on a post game show with AJ Guyton, who hosts House of Hoosier last night, and I thought he made a very very insightful point when he said that Purdue fans, their goal heading into a season is to win a Big Ten championship, whether it's a Big Ten regular season title or a Big Ten tournament title. Like their goal is to win a Big Ten championship, and anything else that comes is just icing on the cake. Indiana fans, their goal heading into a season is to win a national championship, and when you set that level of expectation, it creates a level of disappointment when you are not winning, like when you're not a top 5, top 10 team in the country, and you can't just snap your fingers and make yourself a top 10 team in the country. So while I do think that it is more than fair to start having these conversations about what Archie Miller has accomplished at Indiana, I'm not at the point where I think it's right to say, get that guy out of Bloomington. We got to fire him. But I was also the one saying that like Tom Crean won 2 Big Ten titles in his last 4 years or last 5 years at Indiana. Like, I don't think that you should fire someone that's won 2 conference titles in the span of 5 years. So it is what it is.